guys, this is Mike and this will be a shootout between 4 different Taylor guitars. All of these guitars I was pretty interested in for a long time and now I finally had the opportunity to compare them directly, right? So first things first, let's take a look at some technical specs. And as you can see here, we have 4 very different instruments, different sizes, different prices. 2 are made in the USA, 2 are made in Mexico, right? The dimensions that you can see in this chart, the dimensions and the weight, actually I measured those myself, but please note that especially weight might be slightly different on other exemplars of the same guitar, right? That's a given. Wood is a natural product. Each one of these guitars will have a different weight. Also, I won't say much about build quality or factory setup or playability because actually all of that has been amazing on these guitars except for the baby Taylor. Because first of all, I have never in my life seen a guitar neck that is screwed into the body of a guitar with 2 screws that actually go into the fretboard of the guitar, right? So that's a first, and this is definitely not the nicest solution there is. I guess it's maybe a cheap solution for that. This is how the neck joint looks like, right? So it's not very nice as well. It doesn't seem very trustworthy, the whole construction, to be completely honest. And second of all, on this guitar, I don't know if you can tell actually, but it tries to tilt to the left side. It's pretty neck heavy and it's head heavy, right? And that is because the neck of this guitar is this solid slab of wood and the body weighs almost nothing, right? So the guitar always wants to drop on its head, and you can actually feel that even when you're playing, right? Because you always have the feeling that you need to support the neck, right? So there's that. Plus, unfortunately, on my exemplar of the baby Taylor, I do have fret buzz, right? So I don't have any issues on the other 3 guitars, but on this one, unfortunately, the factory setup is not that great. It's not everywhere, the fret buzz. It's on the first 4 frets, actually, yeah. And you will hear it, I guess, in the sound samples, but there's nothing really that I can do about that now. It's just what it is. And yeah, these are my issues with the baby Taylor. But fortunately, build quality, factory setup and playability on the other 3 guitars is superb. So how about we listen to some sounds? By the way, I recorded 3 sound comparison samples just for this video. But if you want to listen to more samples, including the preamp sounds, you have to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Because right now I am working on a huge shootout between more than a dozen different Western guitars, including these 4, right? And there I will have, I think, a minimum of 6, but I think more like 7 or even 8 sound comparison samples, right? So that will be even more informative. But you know, even today, even with just 3 different sound comparison samples, I think we can clearly tell what the sonic differences between these guitars are, right? So let's listen to those, and afterwards I will tell you what I think about each and every guitar. Here we go. Okay guys, welcome back. I hope you like the samples, and if you've made it this far in the video, please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, so now let's actually talk about these guitars, and let me tell you, there's one guitar here that I don't like at all. There are two guitars here that I like very much, and there's one guitar here that I find to be pretty amazing, right? And let's start with the worst. And I think maybe you have realized by now which one I don't like at all. It is, of course, the Taylor baby Taylor, right? This little thing here. And I think it was maybe my mistake because I thought that the baby Taylor would be just one number smaller than the GS Mini, but actually the size difference is pretty big, right? And I don't like this guitar for all the reasons I mentioned in the beginning, right? We have the fret bus, so bad factory setup. We have this heavy neck here, right? And also the sound, now that we have listened to it, the sound isn't anything to write home about either, right? I also have to say, I don't really understand the whole concept, the whole thinking behind this guitar, right? So if you want a travel guitar, if you want something lightweight and cheap to take to a campfire or to the beach or whatever, why would you ever consider a Taylor, right? And one that is $500-600, right? There are so many companies, so many brands out there these days that do like travel guitars that are slightly bigger, are not as neck heavy, maybe even have a preamp or a tuner. A tuner always comes in handy, especially when you're at a campfire, right? And which frankly sound better than this one, right? And they are half the price a lot of times, right? So I'm not a fan of this guitar. I think you can tell, not a fan. And yeah, let's not talk about it anymore. So this was the worst guitar in my humble opinion. And now let's actually talk about my favorite first, because, and that was a surprise. And I have to be honest, that was surprising because I actually thought, well, I'm a big guy, right? I'm a huge guy with big hands and I'm pretty tall, right? And I thought, yeah, naturally I will like the biggest guitar, right? But to my big surprise, actually, my favorite instrument in this shootout is the American Dream 21E. And I did not expect that, right? So why do I like this guitar? What do I like about it? Well, I told you in the beginning, I find it to be pretty beautiful, the whole look of this guitar, right? Although I have to say that the wood grain on the 22E is even nicer than here, but it's still beautiful guitar. Love this porous finish, right? For some reason, and bear with me here, because I come from playing electric guitars, I played in a rock band for years basically, and I think I'm so used to the size of an Epiphone Les Paul, which also was my very first guitar and the main instrument that I played in the band. And this is very much like that. For some reason, this just feels like home, right? Whenever I take this guitar, I immediately want to play it, right? There's nothing here that would hinder me. The body size feels very natural. It's just plug and play for me, right? Whereas the 22, although it's just a little bit bigger, to me, it actually feels like this huge piece of wood, right? Every time I take the 22, it's like, yeah, okay, now I'm holding a Western guitar. Now I'm holding an acoustic guitar, basically, right? And also, because I don't know what it is. It's highly individual. I totally understand that, right? But it doesn't even play as nice. It's not as easy to play. That might be, I have to be fair, that might be because Taylor is actually using thicker strings on the 22 for some reason, right? And here we have slightly thinner strings, so there's that, and I get that. But just the shape of the guitar, I really appreciate. I also appreciate the sound of this guitar, right? So as you heard in the samples, the 22 has a fuller body, right, to the sound. We have this foundation of bass that sounds very nice. The highs, for some reason, are not as solid as on this guitar, I feel. And also because this is a slightly smaller instrument, this one does not have a lot of bass, not as much bass, I should say, but it has these really nice sounding highs and mids, right? And so I really like that, especially for fingerpicking, right? So that's really a great sound to my ears, right? I don't know about you. The GS Mini, by the way, is also, I mean, it's great to play. I'll give it that. But the sound, I feel, and that was a surprise. First of all, it's not as bass heavy. That was logical. But also the highs, I feel, are more subdued in comparison to this here, right? They are more like, okay, I'm here, but I'm not that strong, right? So it's a stupid analogy, but I hope you know what I mean. So I actually feel that this here is the perfect mix between the GS Mini body size and the bigger body size of the AD22, right? And yeah, really like this instrument, right? Really like this instrument. And there's really nothing that I could add here, except, you know, I'm very curious how this one compares actually to something like the Martin 0015M, right? Which should be very similar in body size. Also, both are made in America. Both have a top that is made out of mahogany. The only difference should be that this is sapelli back and sides, and the Martin is, of course, solid mahogany, the whole body. But yeah, pretty cool instrument. Really have a crush on it, kind of like. Not to say that the GS Mini is any worse or the 22E is worse, right? This is highly subjective, right? For me, out of these 4 guitars, this is the best one. And it's actually so cool. And I have to be honest, I got this in a sale, so it wasn't that expensive either. And I hope that it comes close to the Martin. Because when the sound is just as nice as on the Martin, I'm definitely keeping that, right? Just because of the way it looks. Both are made in America, but this has this porous finish. It also has a preamp, right? That's very cool as well. And build quality is amazing, right? So yeah, guys, that was my opinion. 3 very cool instruments, 1 instrument that isn't cool at all, and 1 instrument that is super, hyper, uber cool, right? And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you like this video. I think the next video will be actually a Harley Benton shootout, where I test the 5 Harley Bentons that I got now, right? And yeah, hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye. With 2 eyes.